why startups fail. But if you boil it down, the top three reasons are always the same. Reason number one is lack of market need. This is when the product solves a problem nobody really has, or not one painful enough that people will pay for. Remember Google's glass product? Amazing technology, but consumers never had a burning need to wear a $1,500 computer on their face. Demand was not there. Reason number two is building too much too soon. Software development by nature should be iterative. Building a little, test, get feedback. But many founders want to launch a perfect version right away. Let me give you an example. I once met a founder who spent 2 years and almost $1 million building a massive platform with dozens of features. When it launched, users only cared about one feature. Everything else was wasted effort. Reason number three is poor execution plan. Sometimes the idea is strong and the market is there, but execution falls apart. Wrong hires, wrong partners, poor processes, and everything goes down the drain. Let me give you another example. Think about Quibi. They raised nearly $2 billion to build a mobile video platform. But poor execution and lack of focus killed it within 6 months. So, lack of need, overbuilding, and poor execution, these are the killers of most startups. And everything we are going to cover in Launchpad is designed to help you avoid them. Now, let's bring this to life. Let's look at a real world example on how this affects. And this is a very famous example. You might have already heard about this if you are from Silicon Valley or in that space. Let me tell you about a famous example. Silicon Valley Juicero. Juicero was founded in 2013 by Doug Evans. Their product was a $699 Wi-Fi connected juicing machine. But here's the catch. It only worked with Juicero's own pre-packaged produce packs, which you had to buy separately on subscription. Their pitch was very slick. The machine applied 8,000 pounds of pressure to perfectly squeeze juice from their packs. The promise? Fresh, healthy juice at home without the mess. And the investors loved it. They raised $120 million from big names like Google. But here's what failed. All unraveled in 2017. Bloomberg discovered that you could simply squeeze the juice packs, their own juice packs, Juicero's juice packs, by hand in less time than it took to set up the machine. Same juice, same result. So the machine's core selling point, you need this tech to get the juice, was false. On top of that, the product was over engineered, overpriced, and overbuilt without anyone validating whether people actually wanted it. Saro shut down in 2017, less than 4 years after the launch. Now, here's why the story matters for us. Validate the problem first. Don't assume your audience cares about your innovation. If they can solve it simply, then they will solve it. Don't overbuild. Their MVP could have been a $50 handheld press plus juice packs. Core value must be real. If your main selling point can be bypassed, you don't have a business. And finally, hype is not product market fit. Funding and buzz cannot save a bad product. So let me ask you, if you think about your own idea now, is there any part of it that could be squeezed by hand? Something that sounds innovative, but your customers might already have a simpler way to solve that problem. Think about it. That's exactly the kind of clarity we'll work on in Launchpad. I want you to carry with you throughout this program, validate the problem first. That's the lesson we have learned. Does your solution actually solve a real pain point? If your customers can shrug and say, I can already do this another way, you don't have a validation. Don't overbuild. Start with the simplest version of your product that works. Remember, an MVP is about testing, not perfection. Core value must be real. If your big selling point can be bypassed, it's just a feature, and customers will not pay for something they do not need. And funding is not product market fit. Investors' excitement is not the same as customers' need. Cero raised 120 million, but hype could not replace real demand. So here's a quick reflection for you. Think about your own idea. Which of these four lessons do you need to pay the most attention to? Just circle one, two, three, or four in your notes. Keep it in mind as we move forward because clarity comes from asking the tough questions early. We need to make sure we know which area we might need more help in. So, before we dive deeper into the frameworks, I want to step back and look at the big picture, the journey every startup takes. Whether you are just thinking about your product or already building, knowing where you are on the path helps you focus on the right actions at the right time. There are five key stages, and the danger comes when we skip or rush them. Stage number one is idea. This is where the spark happens. You have spotted a frustration or a gap in the market, and you are thinking, what if? At this point, it's just a hypothesis, not a business. Your main job here is clarity. Who is this for? What problem does it solve? Why does it matter? Think about Airbnb. The founders did not start with a $1 billion version. They just thought hotels are overpriced during conferences, maybe, or sporting events. Let's rent out air mattresses in our apartment. That small idea became the seed of something huge, which is now grown worldwide. Quick check. If you are in the idea stage right now, write the word idea next to your project name on your notebook. Stage two is validation. Validation is where you stop guessing and start testing. This is where you put your idea in front of real potential users to see if they care enough to act, or maybe join a wait list, maybe pre order, maybe even pay for a pilot. The goal is to test assumptions before you write a single line of code. Dropbox did this brilliantly. Their MVP was not a product at all, it was a 3-minute explainer video. Thousands of people signed up just to say, yes, I want this. That was validation. Skip this step and you risk wasting time and money on something nobody actually wants. Ask yourself this question: have you already done some kind of validation? In your notes, write validation if yes, or need to validate if not. If you haven't done it, then write down need to validate. Stage number three is the most important stage. This is where you start building. But remember, MVP does not mean cheap, it means minimum, the smallest version that delivers your core value proposition. The aim here is to launch quickly, measure usage, learn and iterate. Look at Instagram. They actually started as a location check in app called Bourbon, but users only love one thing: photo sharing. So they stopped everything else, and that became Instagram. In Launchpad, this is where we prepare you to move into our sprint program, where we help you build an MVP in 90 days with a proven process. Stage number four is growth. Now your product is in the market and delivering value. Growth is about product market fit. People are not just using it, they are loving it and telling others. You are focused on attracting users, improving retention, and scaling your acquisition channels. Slack is a great example. They did not explode on day one. They started small with internal teams, refined their messaging, and then grew through word of mouth into millions of users today. And the stage five is finally scale stage. This is where you expand beyond your initial market, adding features, opening in new geographies, or serving new segments. But remember, scale is not just about getting bigger, it's about creating a repeatable, profitable model. Uber did not launch globally from day one. They perfected their model in San Francisco before expanding city by city, country by country to where they are today. So every startup moves through these stages. The mistake most founders make is jumping straight to MVP without clarity or validation. Here in Launchpad, our mission is to get you through stage one and two with absolute clarity. So you can enter stage 3 MVP development with a lot of confidence. And when you are ready to build, that's where our sprint program comes in. A proven way to get from idea to working MVP in just 90 days. We'll talk more about that on in session 4, but I wanted to let you know that there is something called sprint because we are going to mention that throughout the session. In your notes, write down your current stage: idea, validation, MVP, growth, or scale. So that gives you a sense of where you are, and it will help you absorb the upcoming examples in the right context, where Launchpad works and where Sprint works. Now, it's important to understand how Launchpad and Sprint fit into the journey. Launchpad works best in stage 1 and 2, idea and validation. This is where clarity matters the most and where we help you answer the tough questions before you build. Sprint works in stage 3, MVP development. Once you have clarity and validation, sprint is the execution engine that helps you build your product in 90 days with discipline and speed. So think of Launchpad as your map and sprint as your car. Together, they get you from vision to product without wasting time or money.